Hi, my name is Sakura. I am a former scientist and now product manager on the Benchling AI team, and today I want to talk to you about using Notebook Check and AI Chat to review your notebook entries and apply AI-generated suggestions directly with ease. Let's jump right into a Benchling notebook entry that I have open here, which has an experiment documented. There is information about samples, experimental setup, and you'll see results, additional observations, and more. With Notebook Check that is accessible through the Review tab, you can have AI-generated suggestions available for you, so you can use this to catch mistakes, typos, missing sections, and other things that you might want to customize for your tenant using the Tenant Admin Console's configurations for Notebook Check. In my case, I see in the Notebook Check suggestions here that there are some recommendations for potential issues or errors with my entry where I've listed the incorrect batch number, which is indicated by this first item here, as well as a miscalculation for the %CV, as well as a miscalculation for the limit of detection that is noted in my entry. Let's go ahead and compare these side by side with my entries so I can just quickly confirm that these are in fact suggestions that I want to apply before we talk about how you can apply them. So I'm going to go ahead and split my workspace here on the right-hand side and scroll to the top of my entry. The first thing that's called out, which is to the first checked item here, is that the sample results summary table has a batch number that is likely incorrect. You'll see that in my sample information, the batch number 123 is what's listed, so that's likely, in this case, what the actual correct sample number is. And if I scroll down to the summary table, you'll notice that batch number 13 is listed, which is in fact incorrect. So this is a great way for you to use Notebook Check where there might be small typos that end up making bigger impacts downstream, which we can use Notebook Check to fix and catch early. The second item here is about a miscalculation. These things can also happen in notebook entries or are sometimes entries with many formulas, and so it can be a useful way for you to quickly spot check and make sure that these numbers actually make sense besides any of your human review. So let's look at that table. If you look up here, the standard curve summary has a blank here, which has a specific OD450 standard deviation and a %CV. And if we look at the calculations that are used for %CV, it is in fact actually weird that we have 4.5% here when we would expect 12.5, which is indicated by the Notebook Check suggestion. So this is also something that is a great thing to catch and something that I will want to then edit my notebook entry to correct before I send it for review. And then last but not least, we also have the limit of detection. So if we try to find where that's mentioned here, let me scroll to where that is described. You'll see that the limit of detection is noted here as 0.010. But if I use the reported blank mean and the OD of 0.080 and standard deviation of 0.004, which you see listed in this suggestion here, the actual calculation is not 0.010, it's actually 0.092. So it's probably a miscalculation or some sort of rounding issue that happened here. So this is also another great way for me to then be like, okay, this is something I want to fix and is incorrect, and I've caught it early enough that hopefully there hasn't been any sort of unexpected or undesired downstream impact. So now I can obviously review the remaining ones. In the interest of time here, I'll just proceed with assuming that these three are suggestions that are valid and I want to actually apply them to my notebook entry. Instead of having to actually manually go through and make all the calculation changes or edits, I can actually go ahead and select the suggestions. So you see that I've selected the three here and click Fix Selected. What this does is it sends the suggestions that were generated by Notebook Check into the chat agent, and the agent will then be able to apply those corrections and suggestions directly to your notebook entry. I'm going to just return the split workspace back to what it was before so we can actually take a look at the entry edits that the agent will make. I'll scroll up to the top and we'll give it a second to actually complete the changes for those suggestions, and then we'll check back in to confirm that those were applied. All right, so Notebook Check suggestions have now been applied by our chat agent. You'll see that the agent then provides a summary of the fixes that were applied on the left-hand side. So let's go ahead and quickly check through those. The first suggestion we applied, or we wanted the agent to apply here, is to correct the batch number in the sample results summary. If we scroll down to that, you'll notice that that batch number has now been corrected. That's great. Now let's talk about the blank CV and the limit of detection calculations. If I go back up to the CV here for the blank, you'll see that that has also been corrected, which is great. That's what we wanted as well. And then last but not least, the limit of detection. If I scroll down to that calculation here, you'll see that that has also been corrected. So these are all changes that have now been applied directly to my notebook entry, so I can then do any final checks that I want to do before I send this off to my manager for review. So this is how you can use Notebook Check as well as this new Fix Selected option to apply those Notebook Check suggestions directly to your notebook entry using Benchling AI. We hope you give it a try, and if you do, let us know what you think. Thank you.